Hello and welcome to Learning Activity 5, Final Draft Instructional Design Plan, Picking and Choosing Reliable Sources. After my unit of instruction, students will be able to sift through a variety of sources, both digital and non-digital, to determine which ones are the most reliable and pertinent to their topic of research. They will be able to hone their critical thinking skills for future projects and become comfortable and familiar with using academic resources. Section 1. Assessing students' understanding. Determine what students know about reliable sources by giving them a pretest of 10 multiple-choice questions. Here's an example. Which of the following is a reliable source? A. An article about the Holocaust on Wikipedia. B. A book from 1950 on Pluto. C. A Martin Luther King Jr. quote on a blog. Or D. A journal article about environmental design. If you guessed D, you're correct. After the pretest, go over all the answers to the test and explain to the students why some sources were considered reliable and others will not. This will lead into a discussion of why using a reliable source is important. Be sure to stress that there's a lot of misleading information out there, and students can be accused of plagiarism if they cite from the wrong sources. This will also help the instructor assess where the students are coming from in terms of previous knowledge. Section 2, introducing the topic and its importance. What makes a source reliable? A, it is published and peer review. The term published has a lot of leeway these days due to open sources such as Wikipedia, blogs, and other internet ways of sharing media. Make sure that you stress to the students what the difference between self-publishing and academic publishing is. Also, peer-reviewed is defined as members of an academic community coming together and citing sources to make sure that these sources are considered to be reliable. B, it is relevant and not outdated. Information changes over time. And like in the example question, a book from the 1950s on Pluto is no longer considered to be a reliable source because Pluto is no longer considered to be a planet. See, it comes from a library resource. This will help students find the best reliable resources, and we'll get more into that later. Explain slippery slopes. Websites, for example, Wikipedia and blogs and Facebook, and older published materials. Information changes and becomes obsolete. Can anyone think of any examples of how information changes over time? And what about social media? Can we believe anything we read on the internet? Once students understand the difference between reliable sources and unreliable sources, they'll be able to use that critical thinking in college and beyond and find good sources that they can rely on and that support their argument. They need to know what is out there and what comes up when you search. The internet is an open forum and there's an explosion of information, both good information and misleading information. Now that you know about reliable sources, how do you put it into action? You will assign a research assignment. Number 1, pick a topic. What is a scholarly topic you can find 5 or more reliable sources that support your argument? Find these sources. The King Library databases, which can be searched by topic. JSTOR, which has a variety of journals that can be reached by one search topic. Google Scholar and books. Go over these sources with the students. Make sure that they understand how to access each of them. Cite your sources. The OWL at Purdue and APA Handbook and the resource guides on library websites are perfect examples of where students can go to find examples of citing sources. Write about your sources. Ask your students, why did they choose the source? What information does it have that helps support your argument? What reputation does the source have? How old is the journal? How old is the book? Is it published by a university or by an independent publisher? And is it considered scholarly? Is it cited in other papers or peer-reviewed? How did you find the source? Google, a database? Was it a suggestion from the librarian or a colleague? Bring your sources and citations to class. Swap papers and check your partner's sources. Make sure that they've answered all of those questions in the previous slide, and check for reliability, that they searched in the correct places and that they have the proper citations. What did you learn from your classmates' citations? Maybe they found a great new database that you weren't aware of. Peer review and hand the papers back to the original owner. Section 4, Reflection. The implementation of this learning unit in an ideal situation would be in a classroom or library workshop setting. I thought it could be done online via a similar website to D2L with discussion chats, swapping papers through Google Docs, or uploading them to a Dropbox and having other students download them. But now that I think about it more and read more, I think this is such a topic where students can learn from one another in a live, in-person discussion, and how examples of articles can be explored in a presentation setting. I would also think that showing the resources on databases and walking students through entering their ID number, library PIN, and finding the right journal would be a great presentation on a projector. Thank you for your time.